Carlton have clung to an 8-point win in a fiery and pulsating clash against arch-rivals Essendon at the MCG, surviving a fierce Bombers fightback after dominating the first quarter. A game that seemed all but over early transformed into a nail-biter by the final siren, as the Blues' 38-point lead evaporated under red and black pressure. It was Carlton's fast start that ultimately decided the match. The Blues slammed on the first 4 goals inside 14 minutes, catching Essendon completely off guard. By the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, the lead had ballooned to 38 points. Essendon looked rattled. Their midfield was beaten, their defense overwhelmed, and their pressure non-existent. But the contest took a dramatic turn shortly after, when Sam Durham collided with Adam Cerra in a controversial and potentially suspension-worthy bump. Both players were going hard at the footy in midfield. Cerra got there first, and as he gathered the ball, Durham turned his body and launched low, collecting the Carlton midfielder high. His shoulder appeared to catch Cerra in the head. Cerra was visibly stunned and left with a black eye, but stayed on the field initially. It took nearly 15 minutes before Carlton's medical staff made the decision to take Cerra off for a head injury assessment. He passed, and eventually returned, but questions are being asked about the delay and whether any AFL intervention occurred before he was taken to the rooms. Durham's bump is now under serious scrutiny. While Cerra played on, the act itself, a high, front-on hit to the head, is likely to earn a suspension under the league's crackdown on dangerous contact. The bump sparked fire in both sides. Essendon began clawing their way back into the game. They reduced the margin to 28 at halftime, and came out surging in the third quarter, booting 4-1. Momentum was firmly in their corner. Carlton were suddenly shaky. Their captain, Patrick Cripps, failed to register a single stat in the third term. The Bombers were winning the ball at stoppages, moving it with speed, and locking it inside their forward half. A huge moment came late in the third. Xavier Duursma looked set to burst clear and shoot for goal, but a desperate tackle from Adam Cerra stopped him cold, preserving a vital buffer for the Blues. Early in the final term, Blake Acres delivered a clutch goal from a tight angle to steady Carlton. Moments later, Zach Williams added another, extending the lead just enough to hold off the fast-finishing Bombers. But Essendon weren't done. They kept surging, kicking 7-3 after halftime, and narrowed the gap to single digits. However, they had simply given themselves too much to do after their abysmal opening quarter. The final score read 11.12-78 to 11.4-70. Carlton celebrated a hard-fought win, their 5th of the season, keeping their finals hopes alive. They sit 11th on the ladder, just behind the Bombers, who are 10th. Sam Walsh was immense once again, racking up 32 disposals to equal the game high. Jack Silvigny was another standout, playing a critical defensive role and keeping Essendon young gun Nate Caddy goalless. Carlton were without star forward Harry McKay due to a knee injury, but his replacement, debutant Hudson O'Keefe, made an impression with strong contested marks and composed play at both ends of the ground. Coach Michael Voss was understandably pleased post-match but acknowledged the imperfections in his team's performance. He spoke openly about ongoing issues with forward connection and second-half fadeouts. "We've been working on it, forward connection, for a couple of weeks. It worked in places, other times it fell short," Voss said. There were moments either side of halftime. Essendon, kicked a goal before halftime and one just after. "We've got to get better at stopping some of those moments." He reserved special praise for O'Keefe, highlighting the youngster's journey to AFL readiness. "He wasn't AFL ready for a while," Voss explained. "He had to work on his game, and he had development coaches helping him. To see a debutant come out and clunk a few was great." The result leaves Essendon facing a tough stretch. Their next 3 games include Geelong at the MCG, Fremantle in Perth, and then a bye. They return to action in round 17 against the Gold Coast Suns and then take on Richmond at the G. For Carlton, their next month could shape their season. They travel to Perth to face West Coast, return home for a clash against North Melbourne, then face Port Adelaide away before a blockbuster against Collingwood in round 17. The Blues will take heart from the win, but know they must improve if they're to compete with the best. Sunday's performance once again exposed their vulnerability when under siege, but their ability to respond, at least in patches, kept their season afloat. Back to the Durham incident, all eyes are now on the match review panel. The optics of the bump, Cerra's stunned reaction, and the slow medical response have sparked intense discussion. Even though Cerra played on, the league's precedent on head-high contact means Durham is almost certain to face suspension. The handling of the concussion protocol will also come under the microscope. The delay in Cerra being removed from the field, despite visible signs of head trauma, raises serious questions about on-ground assessment processes. Essendon fans will rue the sluggish start, yet again. Just like the previous week against Brisbane, the Bombers were off the pace early, conceding multiple goals before settling. It cost them dearly. Despite the result, Darcy Parish made a strong return from injury, collecting 10 clearances and helping drive Essendon's midfield resurgence. The Bombers will need more from their stars if they're to stay in the finals hunt. Carlton, meanwhile, will look to harness the belief that comes from winning close contests. With their next 4 games all winnable, there's an opportunity to build real momentum heading into the second half of the season. Sunday's clash had everything: fireworks, controversy, young talent on show, and momentum swings galore. The atmosphere at the MCG was electric, befitting one of the AFL's most storied rivalries. Fans now look ahead to the traditional King's Birthday clash between Collingwood and Melbourne, complete with the iconic Big Freeze event to support the fight against Essendon. It's another marquee fixture that will close out round 13 in style. For now, Carlton can enjoy a hard-earned victory. Essendon are left to lick their wounds and await the fate of Sam Durham. Thank you for following all the action. Stay tuned tomorrow as we await the AFL's decision on the bump that could have wider implications than just the match itself.